Labels. Everywhere I go, someone is trying to slap one on me. Female, not very quiet. Woman, old enough. Professional, on minimum wage. The layer for today. Skin.
Clear.
Woman,
You told me that because I did not fear love, that I was
I
less than.
cringe when I hear that.
You told me that because of who I love, that I am bad.
Cunt.
You tell me that my
I
being
am a
is
black
wrong.
woman.
That it is you who
Loving
fears,
forever.
and who does not love, and it is you who is wrong.
By the brilliant
Woman.
occurrence of my continent of
From
origin,
birth you assign me with a coded vocabulary. From birth you teach me that I must be a pawn. From birth you demand my compliance. But what if I refute your violent vocabulary? I will ascend above your rigged game, and I refuse to comply. Of color. Born of my ancestors' joy, you alienate me from them. Born of a different skin color, you scream that I am not worthy to be called black or indigenous. Born of my parents, you insist that I do not belong. But my ancestors are with me, and I with them. I am worthy, and I belong here on this earth. Being a woman of color, I have known love and fear, right and wrong. I have fought their violent and vile words. I refuse to play their game and to comply, and I know that I belong here on this earth where my ancestors once stood because I am worthy of this life.
I am not a minority. Even if your out-of-date statistics and washed brain makes you see me as someone to pity, I am one of a majority. I am an African. We are many. We are the majority, the beautiful people. We are the us to the other, and the other to the us until we are one. We have our quirks, but we can never be in the docks for being unwelcoming.
I didn't come out as gay until my senior year in high school, and I didn't come out as non-binary until I graduated college, but growing up black and bullied in the South carried over a lesson that I still find applicable for continuing to grow up as a queer person of color, and that lesson is learning how to live a life truest to yourself. I found that the communities I found myself in always had pressures to conform to what people in said communities saw and desired, like stereotypical personalities and the body characteristics that complement it. It's so easy to get caught up in what other people in your circles expect from you, and you'll find that the external forces in the world will tear you down the worst when you live for something or someone that isn't yourself. And of course, by no means is it easy, but defining your life by the standards that only you uphold will make all of the hardships worth it.
Me equals primary and secondary schools equals Sokoto, Kaduna State. What do you know about the so-called Fulani boys? Don't talk for the sake of making sound. Don't create a war for the sake of being heard. Don't make up my history. Ask me. Ask an African. Ask our elders. And bow when you do. I have never been enslaved and appreciate not.
What can I say? I grew up black, gay, a classical musician in the quote-unquote United States of America in the 80s and the 90s. It was the time of Reagan, Clinton, and Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It was the time of DARE, drug abuse resistance education, where drugs were planted in black communities and examples were made of black people in the media. I remember watching these stories, reading the newspaper articles, seeing images of black people being thrown in jail, listening to the stereotypes of black people as welfare hoarders, abusers of the system. I remember the LA riots. I remember the images of black people destroying things, taking TVs. I even remember shows like In Living Color and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in their own way making fun of these looters in the LA riots and talking about these situations with humor and self-deprecation and elegance, but not fully understanding how all of this related to me, because with all of these images, I didn't even have a pride in being black and being queer. And I had a little bit of a pride in being a classical musician, but I didn't see many people who looked like me in that world. So it's not as though I could have formed a strong community that gave me any support. I had no support. I didn't have 100% acceptance in each of these communities, in each of these boxes. So I fended for myself.
Layers. That is what I am. But that too is a label which I reject. So, let me explain. To avoid the lazy compartmentalization by the containment people. No one layer is higher or lower than the other. Variety, intelligence, beauty, freedom. If you want to know what ask me. I appoint no outsider spokesman.
So, when I was younger, I had a cousin that basically lived at my house, but not really. Like, she would spend most of her weekends and even her days during the week at my house. We grew up as sisters, essentially. And she was like about 5 years older than me.
My mom had been
I
married
generally loved her a lot
5
and
years.
looked up to her a lot.
Had
But I guess I was just
my grandmother had been married for almost a decade.
So one night,
Had 3 children.
she was babysitting us, and
Later would have
I
2
feel
more.
like I had to have been like
At my
8
age,
or something like that.
I've never been
She
with
was
the
like
same
13.
person for almost a
She was
year.
babysitting us, or just like maybe she wasn't babysitting us, but she was
More
over.
people and
And I had been
I
doing
can't
something to
remember.
annoy her, I think.
my grandmother,
playing around
my
in the
mother.
living room,
My
and
grandmother
she asked me
had
to come down with her
kids,
to the
one
basement.
man.
I think
Her
one of the
life
things I'm really lucky
was
is that
passed away.
my
And
chosen family
this was at a
mother,
time
to my
where
knowledge,
that
it's
kind of became part of this extended community of people around the world who have assisted in my upbringing. Primarily it's because my mom was a single mom. She was
I don't
also
know
separated from my dad,
who I
and
am.
got to sign separation and
What I
divorce.
want out of life.
People still really look down on me
But I
and
feel
bad.
like
And so my mom had to go through school. She had me when she was in middle school. And my grandparents to take care of us. Mom's friends from med school and outside med school would come over and help babysit. Just a lot of those relationships are still around now, and I really, really love and appreciate all these adults who participated in building this warm and safe community for all of each other's children. And I'm really grateful to that experience, especially now, because now I feel like I learned the basics of community building with that as a base, and I like community building based on love, which is what I think I had.
Those that like mattress covers and duvets,
Born,
whatever,
I
come
was
in,
the golden
unzips it
child,
and puts it over my body,
and now
and then because
I'm
you're
disappointed.
small, because I'm 8 years old, and then she tells me that it's filled with millions of invisible spiders, and that if I open my mouth to scream, spiders will get inside of my mouth and just inside of everything, so that I just have to like sit there and wait for her to come get me. And I was terrified. Like, I wanted to scream so badly, but you know, I believed her because she was older than me and I was again gullible and young. So I just sat in the darkness and tried to cry.
You are the company you keep.
All these invisible spiders around me. And then I think at some point, I just stayed there for a couple minutes, like maybe 5 minutes. I think eventually another like was in had been there who was like significantly older, like in her 20s, who was like, where the hell is Naomi? And I think she just came down and got me, and like the second she ripped that bag off of my head, I started crying. But yeah, pretty traumatic stuff.
My favorite food growing up were these little bean curd pouches stuffed full of vinegary white rice. The kind of thing you can find at every supermarket sushi stand now, but back then had to be homemade. They were squishy and lumpy and sweet and felt like dessert for dinner, like you were living impulsively and eating waffles or pancakes instead of an actual meal. I don't think my mom ever knew what they were called, because we just called them rice bags. A name that if you look up now, you just get a bunch of links for grocery stores and crafty totes from Etsy. Still, that name was a really distinct sort of feeling. Same as my great-aunt putting down dollar store doilies on top of her New Year's Day lacquerware, or my grandfather stuffing a piece of old napkin between two chopsticks with an elastic band so I could stop dropping stuff at lunch. There were a lot of things like that. A kind of feeling of how things were supposed to be, and the feeling of how things just were. Always knowing the taste, but never knowing the words. At school, I just told them my favorite food was soup.